Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Edge Sports Network. Nick here again. Hope you guys are doing good. Very special interview today. We got University of Louisiana Monroe quarterback who just finished his senior season. Caleb Evans joins us. Caleb, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good today.
Good to have you on. Glad everything's going well. You just finished up your senior year. We got to start here with your high school career. It was absolutely outstanding. Uh, Threw for a school record 3,256 yards and 47 touchdowns in 2015. And then I know as a senior, you were named Taft's Division One Offensive Player of the Year and second team All District. So I know you just had an outstanding season at high school there, and just high school career in general. So utter dominance in high school. What factors kind of go into your success at Bishop Dunn? I mean, was it teammates, coaches, a support system, just personal training? I mean, what allowed you to put up those numbers that you did?
It was a little mixture of all, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I had great coaches at Bishop Dunn that were able to use their athletes and change up their offense based on the athletes they had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was more of a throwing type deal, and I still was able to use my legs because I was like
Mm-hmm.
a dual threat quarterback. And then plus Bishop Dunn, we had great athletes around me, my receivers, defense, running backs. Everybody was, great athletes who were known for getting guys out to colleges. Credit
Mm-hmm.
to my coaches, like I said. And I really wasn't going to be at Bishop Dunn until my offense coordinator at that time at Bishop Dunn, he seen me at Mansfield and wanted me to come to Bishop Dunn and play for him over there. So I decided to go out there and play for him. And that was a good decision on my part, I guess.
Yeah, I would say it was a pretty good decision, if I had to guess. And I know that growing up, I know your dad played football when he was younger. I know one of your brothers has quarterback experience at Virginia Tech. Another one has wide receiver experience at Texas A&M. So growing up throughout your childhood days and high school and stuff, did you guys kind of rely on each other to grow and build your game up? I mean, how was that growing up in a household where football was basically at the center of the family?
It was fun. It was a lot of competition. I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Always trying to outdo the other person or whatever they do in high school or in college. On the next level. Always have something to reach. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, at the quarterback position, like you said, my brother he was ahead of me playing at the college level. Got to the NFL level and things like that. So he was able to teach me a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things. From the quarterback position that really helped
Mm-hmm.
shape my game as far as reading defenses and stuff like that. And so that was a big help to me to really be able to make me the person I am today.
So when you're coming out of high school, how do you ultimately settle on a school like University of Louisiana Monroe?
Oh, that's easy. My offense coordinator that was at ULM. He's at Southern Miss now.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yes, sir. He was at SFA actually, and that's where I was going to go. Um, and then he ended up getting a job at ULM as offense
Mm-hmm.
coordinator, and they were telling me, hold off and things like that. That he's still trying to get me at the
Mm-hmm.
school he was at because he really liked me. And I was thinking about going the JUCO route, and
Mm-hmm.
then probably like the week before signing day, week and a half before signing day, I ended up getting off from ULM. And I didn't even take a visit yet, but I just trusted the offense coordinator at that time because he's been
Mm-hmm.
showing me so much love through SFA and now ULM. So I just trusted him. And 4 years later, I'm in the record books at ULM.
Exactly. I mean, it certainly worked out for you. I mean, I'm certainly sure it helped to have kind of that familiarity with the offensive coordinator, that relationship there already set in place. Definitely, proved itself throughout your college career, which we'll dive into right now. There's just so much that went in your college career. We could honestly interview you for like 3 hours if we wanted to go everything. But I want to touch on your freshman year real quick here. I mean, you played in 7 games. You started in 4 of those. It was just kind of getting your feet in the water as a, college football quarterback. Now, at the beginning of your career, I mean, I'll take it to your first start here. Are you calm? Are you nervous? Like, what's kind of going on through your head? What does that feel like to start a college football game?
In my first start, it was pretty. It was common because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, the offense coordinator at the time, my coach, Coach Cubic, he
Hmm.
had faith in me, and he really showed me love, and wanted the best for me. So actually, before that game, like the South Alabama game, my first start, he was saying
Hmm.
like, you've been working for it, you've been grinding, you've been studying the playbook, things like that. So just let your ability to take over. And probably the first series I was nervous, because it's college
Hmm.
first start, things like that. But then after that first series, it was just playing ball again. So that was probably the most exciting thing.
Yeah, I know you certainly looked comfortable your freshman season. As I said, you played in 7 games, just kind of getting the hang of it, that, getting used to the new atmosphere and stuff. But then your sophomore season, you really start to kick it into gear here. I know there was a game where you had 515 total yards of offense, 6 touchdowns. It's your second year of college football. Sometimes guys tend to, take a couple years to get used to it. Here you are, year two, throwing for, 400 plus yards, rushing for, I think it was 65 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns. I mean, how do you put together a game like that in your second year? I know, you got your offensive coordinator there still, but the talent that has to take, I mean, run us through that game a little bit. Like, what are you doing, man? I mean, 6 touchdowns, 500 yards of total offense. How does it feel to have a game like that, and how does that even happen?
I don't know. It's just my sophomore year. Actually, I gained more knowledge of the playbook. Freshman year I was
Mm-hmm.
still, like you said, I was wet behind the ears. Didn't really know anything. Just going out there playing ball. And then sophomore
Mm-hmm.
year, I had another year under my belt and got a better understanding through the off season of playbook. And so, I mean, I've been having games that sophomore year. A couple games where I had 4 or 5 touchdowns, things like that. And then this game, I don't know. It just everything was clicking for me. I couldn't miss.
Yeah,
I was running it. I was throwing it. Anything the defense was doing at that time was the wrong thing to do. So,
I would say
definitely
so.
made
I would.
it.
Yeah, I mean, if that wasn't clicking, I don't know what is clicking. I mean, 750 yards would have to be clicking, I think. And I mean, from sophomore to senior year, your career just absolutely amazing. I mean, 11,681 yards of total offense. Excuse me. So many stats here to read. You're making me cough, man. 94 touchdowns. I mean, you're great in the pass game, also a weapon in the run game. So, how important was it to you to be able to be a dual threat both in the air, on the ground? You had it both in your time at ULM. How did you kind of master both the air and the ground?
It's really just based off the defenses that I played. Because some
Mm-hmm.
teams want to play me and make me sit in the pocket and throw it, which
Mm-hmm.
I had no problem doing. Or some teams will make me try to run it, which I had no problem doing. So it's really like a
Mm-hmm.
pick your poison kind of thing, which I enjoyed the most because it was
Yeah.
never like okay, this game I'm gonna run it or this game I'm gonna throw it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if this defense give me this, I'm gonna do this. And so it was just on the fly kind of thing, and it somehow worked out for me.
Yeah, I'd say it worked out for you pretty good because you were ranked as a top 30 quarterback in the nation by Phil Steele. And now you got to know that you're playing good when you're on the field. You got to know you're doing good. But do rankings or awards like that kind of come as a surprise to you, or did you feel like you're a top 30 quarterback in the nation? Is it kind of going through your mind, or when you get recognition like that, is it kind of just like a shock?
It's always an honor, to be on
Mm-hmm.
those lists and to be up there with some of the elite quarterbacks of college football, which I always enjoyed. But
Mm-hmm.
playing, I never like really looked into it unless at the end of the year,
Yep.
that's when awards start happening and all that stuff like that, and then my coach would tell me and stuff like that. But I would just always like to play because I know if I play and do what I needed to do as far as put up touchdowns and things like that, the rest will follow.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly did. I know, going back to your point about being ranked as those top quarterbacks among the in the nation, your junior season, you were only one of 3 NCAA FBS QBs to have multiple games of at least 290 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. The other two guys that did that, Kyler Murray and Derek King. So, what does it feel like to be one of the top, two-way QBs in football? I mean, we go back to your high school days, even when you were a kid. I'm sure you dream of being in that position. The day finally comes. What does it feel like?
Yeah, it feels great. Like you said,
Yeah.
dream of those moments of, being up there with some of the elite guys, doing some great things in college and things like that. So to be able to be named with some of those guys that you named, like Kyler Murray
Hmm.
It feels great, be able to do what I did on the college level, and having some of those awards and accomplishments feels great.
Yeah, and I think what, really got you the recognition was your consistency. I mean, one of the most consistent quarterbacks out there, 2,868 yards passing. And then in your junior year, you had 2,869. And then your senior year, 2,942. Literally, when it comes to yardage, that's right in the same ballpark right there. You don't see that 3 years in a row from many guys. Is there a secret to staying consistent like that? Because we see it so many times today, guys having great seasons and then they just can't follow it up. But you were able to follow it up 3 years in a row once you had that starting position locked down.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about just staying focused and staying
Mm-hmm.
prepared on how to get better. I took away from my head coach. He always said, the older you get, the harder it is to get better because
Mm-hmm.
guys get lazy. It's like, okay, this is my third year or this is my second year. I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always a challenge and fun for me to embrace the off season as far as like the fall camps and the spring practices because it was a new way to find a way to get better. To do something
Mm-hmm.
differently, to learn something I haven't learned, or things like that. Help out the guys,
Yeah.
especially my senior year, helping out the younger receivers that I had.
Yeah, I mean, you were certainly a leader, one of the ULM greats, you know, probably the greatest quarterback to come out of that school. I know many people think you are. They pretty much had you pretty much cemented that spot in history at ULM. So I know now that you're finished up with your senior season, I know you were a draft prospect this year, and although you weren't drafted, you're still in your early 20s. You still have plenty of time to prove yourself. To even be considered in that mix, though, I mean, out of the kids that were playing football growing up, high school, college, a handful of them get in that mix. And many people, I'd say 98% of people, 99% of people have no idea, will never know what it feels like to be looking towards a draft. So can you walk us through how exciting it is to kind of have that NFL experience as the next step, kind of have that looming in the rearview mirror right now? Because I mean, that's that next step. So how does it feel to kind of be in the position where you are now, working towards professional football?
It's very exciting. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you start off. Most guys start off in the pee wee level, age 7, 6,
Mm-hmm.
playing football, and then working all their lives trying to get to the main goal of playing in the NFL. And like you said, I had chances, and it's great, to get the text messages and calls
Mm-hmm.
from teams and things like that, because it's like, oh, I'm growing up watching these teams and looking at these coaches on TV and how they're talking to me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's definitely a crazy experience, and enjoyable moments because like you said, everybody don't get those chances and opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and just working on to get those chances and opportunities when everything opened back up now.
Yeah, I mean, right now the world is at your fingertips, the NFL world just right around the corner here. And now I read an article by the Monroe News Star. This is an interesting one. I didn't know this about you. You didn't have a phone until you were in college, and you didn't have social media either. You were just completely focused on football, and I heard that was kind of your dad's way of keeping you focused on football.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, it was not necessarily just the focus on football, just focusing
Mm-hmm.
on everything else, football, school, being intertwined with things outside of social media and on the phone. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like you said, it was like a ritual in our family. You don't get a phone until your senior year of high school, going into your freshman year of college. And so
Uh-huh.
it was definitely weird once I had a phone because I never had one. So it was weird, to be able to text people and things like that. So
I mean,
that was
yeah,
fun.
I think of it now. Sometimes I wish I didn't have one. I kind of wish like I lived in the 60s. You got people texting you all day. You don't really want to
Right,
text them. You don't want to see
right.
social media. But that's the world we live in now. And I mean, I got to ask you, there's a lot of kids that are stuck in that online world, kind of caught up with that. Maybe they lose focus on things. You were just determined throughout high school, your whole childhood, just all the way up to college. You still are. For kids that want to play at the college level, at the NFL level, even the high school level, what advice would you give them if they want to succeed? Maybe be the next Caleb Evans someday. I don't think they're going to get 64 total touchdowns in a season. Maybe they'll come close. But what advice would you give those kids kind of looking to get to that next step?
I mean, I would say it's all about how bad you want it.
Mm-hmm.
People could want it for you, like your parents or your brothers, your siblings, all that. They can want it
Mm-hmm.
for you, but at the end of the day, when you're in the trenches working out, in the off season, and it's just you and yourself or you and your
Mm-hmm.
teammates. That's when you really know if you really want to be on that next level of whether it's high school, college, or the NFL, as far as playing and consistently playing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, you've certainly worked hard your whole career. It's shown in high school, in college. And I want to end on this. I mean, I feel like we dove, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was just a little bit into your career with everything that you've been through on the field. But we drove through, stats, moments of your career, numbers. Stats tell a lot, accolades do. But I think those, kind of miss that raw emotion that the sport brings. So this is such a general question. Might be easy, might be hard. Depends how much you want to go into it here. But Caleb, what does the sport of football mean to you?
Uh, I actually think about that question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hear people say, I love football and I would die for it, all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go to that extent. I love playing football. And I do love the emotion that it does bring out of guys. When
Mm-hmm.
you're out there on the field, whether you're playing at a Florida State or a South Alabama or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're playing, it's that excitement of going against 11, and you got your 11, I got my 11, and who's gonna win?
Mm-hmm.
Just the competition factor is what I like the most. The adrenaline, the fans, everything. Just that competition factor of it is what I think is the best thing about football.
Yeah, certainly exciting. You showed it on the field in college. Unbelievable career. I mean, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us on the site today, and congrats on an amazing career at ULM. I know you just finished up your senior season. As I said, I mean, we could sit down with you for 3.5 hours if we really wanted to run through the entire career. But Caleb Evans, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you.
No problem at all, guys. You can follow Caleb's career. We're going to put his Twitter down below for you guys. We'll also put a link to the ULM site for the football news and updates so you guys can check out that. But Caleb Evans, everyone here on Edge Sports Network, I'd like to thank him again for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you guys soon for another interview.